What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? It seemed like such a simple thing. God had given me the task of being the angel to roll away the gravestone. Mine was the honor of being the first one to proclaim to humanity that Jesus had been raised from the dead, and to have that message sent on to the disciples who were cowering in fear like usual. You remember that time when Jesus and the disciples were in the boat? And there was this big storm that came along, but Jesus was asleep in the back, totally oblivious to what was going on. But the disciples in the meantime were completely freaking out. And they rushed to Jesus and they shake him awake and said, "We're about to drown, don't you care?" And then when Jesus helps them, when he calms the storm, how do they react? They're not just scared, they're terrified. And then there was a time that Jesus went walking out to them on the water, and they thought it was a ghost and they were scared. Peter finally started to get a clue, and he started to walk out on the water to Jesus as well. And then he noticed there were these big waves coming, and what happens? He gets scared and starts to sink. Then there was the time that Jesus fed the 4,000 with 7 little loaves of bread and a couple dinky fish. And they had 7 baskets of leftovers. The disciples, of course, forgot those leftovers, and what do? They panicked. They thought, "We're going to starve." Really? 3 times Jesus said that he was going to die on the cross. And 3 times the disciples didn't get it. They were either too busy being afraid or too busy arguing with each other about who was going to be the greatest. I mean, even Peter once boasted that he would never abandon Jesus. A couple hours later, 3 times Peter gets confronted, and 3 times Peter gets scared and denies Jesus. But the women disciples were different. There was that unnamed woman that bled for 12 years, 12 long years. She was afraid, but her faith overcame her fear. And even though she could have been stoned to death, she reached out and touched the fringe of Jesus' cloak, and she was made well. And then there was also that unnamed Syrophoenician woman whose daughter was possessed. She had gone to Jesus seeking mercy. She trusted in him. And the disciples, what did? They tried to shoo her away. But she persisted in her faith, even in the face of opposition, and Jesus blessed her and healed her daughter. And then there was another unnamed woman who went to Jesus before he was about to die to anoint him. The disciples tried to shoo her away as well. But she also persisted. They didn't get it, but she did. She knew that Jesus was about to die, and so she anointed him for his burial. And then this morning, there were the 3 women. Mary, and Salome came to the tomb to finish preparing Jesus for his burial. I, of course, had already rolled away the gravestone. So they just came right on in and started looking very alarmed. "Do not be afraid," I said. "You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He has been raised. He is not here. Look, the tomb is empty. This is where they laid him. But go and tell his brothers, his fellow disciples, and Peter too, that he has gone ahead of them to Galilee, and that he will meet them there just as he promised." And then the women rushed out of the tomb, trembling in ecstasy. And then it hit them like a ton of bricks, as if the great gravestone had rolled over on top of them. They looked around at the world and didn't recognize it. It was totally different. And I'm like, what do you expect? When somebody is whipped, scourged, crucified, stabbed with a spear, and dies, 40 hours later, just not suddenly just get up and say, "You got better," for no reason. Of course things have changed. Everything has changed. The world and everything in it has started being set right side up again by God, starting with the resurrection. The resurrection, Jesus' resurrection, means that life now outlasts death. Yes, evil may be powerful, and the worst may be yet to come. But it is not the last of the story, because God's mercy and justice will prevail. That God has the last word and the final say. No longer will might make right, and no longer will sin and injustice rule the day like it did on Friday at the cross, because God's love and mercy will prevail. Starting today, no longer will humanity have to live or accept the image of being dogs in a dog-eat-dog world, but instead have the hope of being once again truly and fully human, of being remade in the image of God, the God of life, the God who created something out of nothing, the God who created out of love and joy, so that others might share in that same love and ecstasy that God knows. The God for whom nothing is impossible. The God for whom there is no sin so great that God cannot forgive. No longer will sin, death, and evil be the end of the story, because God has the last say. Because God, and in God's created vision for the future, in Jesus, changes everything. And that's the point. Humanity and creation have a future. And that's not fake news. That's good news. In fact, the very best news there could possibly be. But what happened? What happened? The women said nothing to no one because they were afraid. God! What am I going to do? Who's going to go and tell? Who's going to go tell those scared disciples that Jesus has been raised from the dead? Who's going to tell this troubled world about God's amazing vision for life and the fullness of life as it could possibly be? Who? Will you? Will you go and tell? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Go in peace. Share the good news.
Thank you.